Once again, for everyone's safety, given the large number of attendees we have here this evening, in the unlikely event we need to leave the cafeteria, the exits are to your right, the door through which you entered, behind us over here, as well as to your left. There's a door there you can exit to your left, and a door here you can exit to your right. The exit signs denote where the exits all are, and they do stay lit in the power outage. Take notice that this public meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education was faxed to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger in accordance with Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Further, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 to 10:4-21, a copy of this notice was posted outside the Secretary's office, and a copy was also filed with the Clerk of the Borough of Sayreville. Mr. McEnone, in honor of your service to our country, would you please lead us in the pledge? Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. DeAndrea, roll call, please.
Mr. Balka.
Here.
Mrs. Backo.
Here.
Mrs. Bloom.
Here.
Mr. Brzezinski.
Here.
Mrs. DePinto.
Here.
Mr. McEnone. Mrs. Trapp.
Here.
Mr. Walsh.
Here.
And Mr. Syak.
Here. Once again, due to the large number of people present this evening, and probably a good number of you who wish to speak, we are going to limit as a board public participation to 2 minutes per speaker. There will be a countdown clock during the public participation periods. We're giving you this advance notice now so that if you have remarks prepared, we understand that many of you may not be accustomed to public speaking. You'll have an opportunity as we conduct the majority of our business to pare those remarks down to the 2-minute time period. We'd like to begin with we'll begin first with a listing of our executive session items. Mr. DeAndrea, if you could provide a summary.
This evening in executive session, under personnel, included but not limited to agenda items, under attorney-client privilege, various legal issues associated with the Sayreville War Memorial High School football program, and student discipline.
Thank you, Mr. DeAndrea. We have opted, due to time constraints, to delay the Slover School Architects Assessment. That will be held at a future meeting. But we are having presentations regarding the budget and the violence and vandalism report. So, Dr. Labby, I'll turn it over to you for your 2015-16 budget introduction.
Thank you very much, Mr. Syak. But before we actually get into my, you can put that back in. Go ahead, next slide, please. Before we actually get into my presentation, I wanted to take the time to point out that we have a very special occasion to celebrate. For the second straight year, the Sayreville War Memorial High School Band became state champions in the Tournament of the Bands competition. And we want them to know just how very, very proud we are of them. Likewise, our color guard won Best Auxiliary for the 3rd consecutive year. So we too are very, very proud of the accomplishments of our color guard. So therefore, on behalf of the administration and of course our Board of Education, we want all of our band members and our color guard members to know how very, very proud we are of them. Sayreville is very, very proud of them. Next. Okay, so this is something that will become an annual event for us. This meeting will kick off our budget season. As compared to years past, rather than giving one large presentation during the public hearing, we will now move into smaller presentations throughout the school year where we will give the Board of Education, give the public an opportunity to listen to our principals, listen to our department heads, listen to our central administrators, discuss the goals that they have for this year and the upcoming school years, and then go into a presentation in which they will discuss the funds that will be required in order for them to accomplish those goals, again, for this year and for the next year. Again, these presentations, the purpose of them is to foster collaboration and clarity so that we can go ahead and promote transparency into the budget process. Each building principal, each administrator will come up and provide an expenditure analysis in which we'll go ahead and demonstrate to budgeted for this current school year and what we are asking the Board of Education to budget for the next school year, for the 15-16 school year. Obviously, we are doing this so that the members of our Board of Education, and most importantly, the members of our community, can ask us questions about our wants, our needs, and more importantly, can provide us with suggestions that can assist us in developing a funding program so that we can promote the most positive outcomes for all of our students. Tonight, we actually have our first presentation. Oh, you can go back to that. Here's our budget calendar. The budget calendar was approved at our previous meeting. As you can see, tonight we will kick off the budget, and our business administrator, Mr. Ovidio DeAndrea, will join me in a moment so that he can provide to you an overview of our debt services budget. At our next meeting on November 18th, we'll have a presentation on utilities, and then as you can see, leading up to the public hearing on April 21st, we will provide several very, very important budget presentations so that we can ensure that our Board of Education and our community is well informed about where we want to take this district and the funds that we will need in order to do so. So without any further delay, Mr. DeAndrea, can you please come on up? Thank you.
This evening, we're going to start off with the debt service. It's probably the easiest of all things to discuss because this is already set in stone for the future all the way through the year 2031. What you see here is our expenditures from 2013. They were $3,839,000. In the year 2014, $3,720,000. For this year, we have budgeted $3,729,000, and the final for next year is $3,738,000. As you can see, we have 4 refunding bonds, and basically what we have done over the years is taken advantage of interest rates that have drastically dropped, and we have taken any bonding that we've had available and refinanced it and matured it out to the day of 2031. And basically, over this period, the interest and principal payments are basically anywhere between $3.7 and $3.8 million a year through the year 2031. We've saved a considerable amount of money by refunding these. We worked with our bond counsels, our financial advisors, to ensure that we were now according to the laws, to ensure that we met all the requirements. And as you can see, the only bond that was non-refunded was the 2005, because of certain restrictions, we weren't able to do that. But this is the next year of the final payment, and as you can see, all the rest are going to carry through some point in time through 2031. Any questions of the board?
Any board members with questions? Okay, and just for the benefit of the public on this as well, we have taken opportunities when market conditions were right to refinance our existing debt, which has provided us with savings for debt service for the years in which that debt exists. Dr. Labby, back to you.
Okay, great. As many of you know, the month of October is a pretty significant month in New Jersey. The month of October is the Anti-Violence Month, and within this month is actually the month of respect. Both of them call for school districts to present various activities throughout the month to promote the message of anti-violence and to promote the message of tolerance and the appreciation of differences for the prevention of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. As a natural occurrence, most school districts go ahead and fulfill one of the requirements within the anti-bullying statute, as well as New Jersey Academic Code regulations, which require us to report any forms of violence, vandalism, substance abuse, or weapons, as well as incidences that are confirmed to be harassment, intimidation, and bullying. We have to report that to the public twice a year. So most districts choose to do that during Anti-Violence Month or during the Week of Respect. Tonight, Tamika Reese, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, operations and compliance, will present to you the data that we reported from the month of January 2014 until the end of June 2014, all incidences that were reported electronically that consisted of violence, vandalism, substance abuse, or weapons offenses, and any incidents confirmed to be harassment, intimidation, and bullying for that period. Ms. Reese?
Thank you, Dr. Labby. And good evening, members of the board, members of the public. Tonight, I'm going to do the electronic violence, vandalism, and substance abuse reporting, the EVVRS and HIB biannual report. As Dr. Labby said, the VVVRS reporting, October is the Anti-Violence Month, which includes a week of respect in reverence to the Anti-Bullying Initiative. Violence, vandalism, substance abuse, and HIB data needs to be reported to the community during a public Board of Education meeting at least twice each school year for the following periods. Period 1, July 1st to December 31st, reported during one of the following months, January through June. Period 2, January 1st to June 30th, reported during one of the following months, July through December. We are going to be reporting for period 2. It consists of incident category by schools, as well as the number of confirmed HIB incidents by schools. The 2013-14 period 2, electronic violence, vandalism, substance abuse, and weapons incidents are reported in the chart below by school and by category. So for the high school, violence 9 incidents, vandalism 2, weapons 1, substance abuse. For the middle school, 4 incidents of violence, 0 vandalism, 0 weapons, 1 substance abuse. For SUES, 1 violence, 0 vandalism, 2 weapons, 0 substance abuse. Eisenhower, 1 violence, 0 vandalism, 0 weapons, 0 substance abuse. Arliss, 1 violence, 0 vandalism, weapons, or substance abuse. Truman, 0 across all categories, and Wilson across all categories. This equates to district totals of 16 violence incidents, 2 vandalism incidents, 3 weapons incidents, and 8 substance incidents for period 2. We'll now move to the HIB reporting, and we'll start with the definition of HIB. Harassment, intimidation, or bullying means any gesture, any written, verbal, or physical act, or any electronic communication, whether it be a single incident or a series of incidents, that is reasonably perceived as being motivated either by any actual or perceived characteristic, such as race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, or a mental, physical, or sensory handicap, disability, or by any other distinguishing characteristic. That takes place on school property, at any school-sponsored function, or on a school bus or off school grounds. That substantially disrupts or interferes with the orderly operation of the school or the rights of other students, and that a reasonable person should know, under the circumstances, will have the effect of physically or emotionally harming a student, or damaging the student's property, or placing a student in reasonable fear of physical or emotional harm to his person or damage to his property, or B, has the effect of insulting or demeaning any student or group of students in such a way as to cause substantial disruption in or substantial interference with the orderly operation of the school, or C, creates a hostile educational environment for the student by interfering with the student's education, or by severely or pervasively causing physical or emotional harm to the student. The HIB reporting procedures. All acts of HIB must be reported verbally to the principal on the same day when the school employee or contracted service provider witnessed or received reliable information regarding any such incident. The principal must inform parents of all students involved in the alleged incident. They must discuss the availability of counseling and other intervention services. All acts of HIB must also be reported in writing to the principal within 2 days of when the school employee or contracted service provider witnessed or received reliable information. The investigation procedures. The investigation must be initiated by the principal or designee within 1 school day of the verbal report. It's conducted by the anti-bullying specialist in consultation with the school. The principal may appoint additional personnel to assist with the investigation. It must be completed as soon as possible, but not later than 10 days from the date of the written report. If additional information is anticipated relevant to the investigation, if it's not received within 10 days, the anti-bullying specialist may amend the original report to reflect the information. The results of the investigation. They must be reported to the superintendent within 2 days of completing the investigation. The superintendent may decide to establish training programs to reduce HIB and enhance school climate, provide intervention services, impose discipline, order counseling, take or recommend other appropriate action. The results must be reported to the Board of Education no later than the date of the next board meeting following the completion of the investigation, along with the information on action taken or recommended by the superintendent. In addition, the parents of the students who are parties to the investigation are entitled to receive information about the investigation in accordance with federal and state law and regulation, including the nature of the investigation and whether evidence of HIB was found, whether discipline was imposed, or services provided. This must be provided within 5 school days after the results are reported to the board. A parent may request a hearing before the Board of Education. It must be held within 10 days of the parent's request. The board may meet in executive session for the hearing, and the board may hear from the school anti-bullying specialist about the incident, recommendations for discipline, or services or programs instituted. At the next Board of Education meeting, following its receipt of the report, the board shall issue a decision in writing to affirm, reject, or modify the superintendent's decision. The board's decision may be appealed to the Commissioner of Education in accordance with the procedures set forth in law and regulation no later than 90 days after the issuance of the board's decision. A parent, student, guardian organization may file a complaint with the Division of Civil Rights within 180 days of the occurrence of any incident of HIB based on the membership in a protected group as enumerated in the law against discrimination. The 2013-14 Period 2 HIB status summary is listed in the chart below. This chart indicates the confirmed number of HIB incidents in Period 2 by school, the high school, 8, the middle school, 3, SUES, 2, Eisenhower, 1, Arleth, 1, Truman, 0, Wilson, 0, the district total is 15. Thank you very much. Any questions from the board?
Any board members with questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you very much. Dr. Labby also referenced our band. It is our past practice where the board will invite our state championship band for a presentation here at a future board meeting. So look for that. That will be coming up. We'll move on to correspondence. We have the monthly technology and maintenance work order reports. And then we move on to approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and executive session held on October 7th?
So moved.
By Mrs. DePinto, do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Walsh, are there any remarks or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. DeAndrea.
Mr. Balka?
Yes.
Mrs. Bacco?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Brzezinski?
Yes.
Mrs. DePinto?
Yes.
Mr. McEnon?
Yes.
Mrs. Trapp?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Sy?
Yes. We do not have our student council or parent involvement representative here. Is there any report, Dr. Shediak, from the Parent Involvement Council?
No, there is not, but we do have a Parent Involvement Council meeting on Monday, November 3rd.
Thank you. And Mrs. Trapp is the liaison. Do you have anything to report?
I was just going to say what
I
Dr.
should
Shanahan
have
said.
deferred to you. I apologize.
No problem.
All right, we will move on to the attorney's report. Is there anything for public? Nothing at this time. Thank you. And then district highlights, Mrs. DePinto?
We do not have anything.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent overview. Dr. Labby, back to you for your overview.
Thank you, Mr. Syak. Board of Education members, if you'll get your attention to Vision 2030, Finance and Infrastructure. First and foremost, item number 14, we're receiving a dictionary donation from the South Amboy Sayreville Library. You can find that on page 3. Our non-public nursing resolution, you can find on pages 3 and 4. That is item 15. On item 17, we're going to ask you to approve the submission of the amended 2014 No Child Left Behind grant. You can find that on page 5. Items 18 and 19, we have some tuition contracts, that's for revenue, for 2 South Amboy students who will be attending our program. You can find that on page 5 as well. Item number 20, going along with the submission of our revised full year 2014-15 NCLB grant, we also have some salaries that are funded by that grant. You can find that also on page 5. Items number 23 and 24, we are entering joint transportation contracts for several students with 2 different districts. You can find that on page 8. Items number 25 and 26, we have some student trips requiring transportation on pages 9 and 10, including our Sayreville War Memorial High School band going to Middletown South High School. And if I have a side note here, I'd like to add that we've received several phone calls from districts across the state. But Middletown South called us and they said, please, invite your band to come join us at a varsity football game so that they can play in front of our crowd. We really want to hear them play. So they contacted Mr. Brown, our principal, and Mr. Caruso, who leads our band, and I'm happy to say that they will be traveling on Friday to play for people in Toms River. So we're real happy for them with regard to that, too. Also, we have some great news. Chris Carton, I believe, from Carton and Boomer in the Morning on WFAN radio, recently contacted us and asked our band, once again, if they would like to play during his pre-game show for the Jets this upcoming Sunday. And of course, we graciously agreed to do so. And I know our band members are so excited to travel to MetLife Stadium to play for the Boomer, for their Carton Jets pre-game show. And we're excited for them. Item number 27, we have some out-of-district tuitions, as well as some special education and related services that we'd like you to approve as well. You can find that on page 10 through 12. On Vision 2030 student achievement, beginning on page 12, our first item, we have some long-term student suspensions. Item number 3, we have our October harassment and intimidation and bullying report for you to approve. You can find that on page 13. Items number 5 through 20, we have some co-curricular activities and trips, including an autism awareness car wash at the Arlitt Elementary School, and our annual trunk or treat at the Eisenhower Elementary School. Vision 2030 governance, which you'll also find on page 15, we are asking our board members to approve the district nursing plan. And that is the only item under governance. Finally, under Vision 2030 personnel, we'd like to congratulate the following people for their service to our district. We do have some people that are retiring. Mrs. Linda Coffey, the principal of the Truman Elementary School. Angela Cavallari, a paraprofessional at the Truman Elementary School. And Stanley Witkowski, a custodian here at the Sayreville War Memorial High School. And I'd like to read a little bit about each one, beginning with Mrs. Cavallari. Mrs. Cavallari has done an outstanding job in her role as a paraprofessional for 24 years in the Sayreville Public Schools. During these years, she has worked in various schools throughout the district and is presently a valued and respected member of the Truman Elementary School team. Dependability, dedication, and skill are the hallmarks of the manner in which she performs her job. In 2009-2010, Ms. Cavallari was recognized as the Educational Support Professional of the Year for the Truman School. Whether she is working in a kindergarten classroom, a resource center, or an inclusion classroom, she is very knowledgeable of the academics, the emotional and social needs of all of her students with whom she works with. Angela consistently demonstrates interest, reliability, and concern for the children that she serves. She loves what she does, and it is evident that she has the best interests of the students at heart from the manner in which she performs all of her responsibilities. Her passion for her profession has earned her the respect and admiration of all who have had the pleasure of working with her. Her fellow paraprofessionals have stated that they are indebted to her for the way that she unofficially mentored them when they were new to the district. In addition, she is always willing to support and attend after-school functions such as PTO meetings and activities or special Truman educational events. Ms. Cavallari's talents, support, and devotion are greatly appreciated, and her services make a difference in regard to the success of the Truman School and all of its students. She will be greatly missed by all. So congratulations to Mrs. Cavallari on her retirement, and we can't thank her enough for her outstanding service. Stanley Witkowski. Stanley has worked as a custodian at Sayreville War Memorial High School for the past 11 years. He has been a very dedicated employee who has always tried to do his best. He loves going to church and fishing, and we know he will find comfort in both during his retirement. We will miss him and his singing and hope that he has a great retirement. Congratulations, Stanley, and thank you for your outstanding service. And finally, this last one is real special to me. I've had the pleasure and honor of working with Mrs. Coffey for the past couple of months, and I do regret that I've only had that amount of time. She is truly an extraordinary woman and an amazing educator, and someone that I truly will miss. I would like to recognize Mrs. Linda Coffey, principal of the Truman Elementary School. Linda is an outstanding educational leader and distinguished elementary school principal who has served the Sayreville Public Schools for over 25 years and has worked in public education for over 44. Her ability to combine character education with the academic excellence is evident by the numerous awards and accolades she has received over the span of her amazing professional career. She has established a positive and caring rapport within the district. Linda has achieved a well-maintained school community where student learning is priority. She is an example of integrity, commitment, and dedication to education. Mrs. Coffey is an authentic leader who has set the tone for all educational leaders. Roberto Clemente was a baseball legend and hometown hero. He improved professionally each year. When asked about his accomplishments, he commented, "If you have a chance to accomplish something that will make things better for people coming behind you, and you don't do that, you are wasting your time on this earth." Linda, you accomplished so much and you have made a real difference in the lives of our students, our faculty, and our colleagues. As you embrace yet another chapter, we wish you nothing but the best. Continue to reach for the stars, Linda, and thank you so much for your outstanding service to the Sayreville Public Schools. Moving along, on item 4 on page 15, we have a resignation. Items 5 through 6 on page 16, there is the rescindment of some coaching and advisor appointments. Items 7 through 19, we have some long-term leave of absences requests. You can find them on pages 16 through 17. On item number 21, we have a transfer of a custodian to a maintenance position. You can find that on page 18. Items 22 through 29, we have the appointments of personnel for full-time positions. That includes some stipends, some people that will be doing some professional development workshop for us during Staff Development Day. And it also includes a new varsity basketball coach, a new varsity swim coach, and some tutoring. Finally, item 33 on the addendum, there is listed the suspension of some teachers. And item number 34 on the addendum, salary changes for coaches. Any questions, Board of Education members?
I don't think there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sire.
Thank you, Dr. Labby. All right, we'll go through this section by section. Mr. Balka, I'll turn it over to you. Is there a committee report on finance and infrastructure? And please, everyone move the microphones close so everyone can hear.
Yes, we had a meeting last week. On the building cleanliness side, it was reported to the committee that the high school is good, but there are some issues in the little schools. The high school sign should be in production the first week of November, with installation to be at the end of November. And capital project status updates. Truman roof replacement is nearing completion. Arleth unit ventilators just need to have main offices units installed and pump installation to be completed. The middle school courtyard is going to have $17,000 in masonry repairs done. Sections of the high school roof are next in the last roof replacement we need to look at, with an estimate of $2 million. We are trying to see if there's going to be another round of ROD grants coming to help offset those costs. And the security system upgrades installations have started. On the finance side, the auditors are still on site. And on item A, page number 8, page 3, I'm going to abstain on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Balka. Mr. DeAndrea, I also need to abstain on a check for Premier Printing Solutions. Any board members with questions on finance? Okay, hearing none, I will move over to student achievement. Mrs. Bloom, you're the chair of that committee. Is there any committee reports?
No, the meeting this evening was canceled because there was a disciplinary committee meeting that conflicted, so we will postpone our meeting to a later date.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to C, governance. There has been no committee meeting. That will happen as soon as I can free myself up to have a committee meeting. Is there any questions on anything under governance? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to personnel. Mr. Walsh, is there any committee report?
There's no committee report this week.
Okay, thank you. And I believe that concludes the superintendent's report. All right, before we open up for public participation, I know there is some interest, at least in one of the issues that is on this agenda, and I just want to clarify for the public that the staff suspensions that we are approving tonight are simply consistent with regard to the ongoing and not yet concluded investigation which we are conducting within district at this time. So while I understand that many of you may have strong feelings, pro or con regarding certain decisions which are pending before this board, one of the things that this board and this administration has done throughout this process is act with deliberate speed, with the emphasis being on deliberate. It is a complex investigation that we need to conduct, and we will be conducting that, and based upon the conclusion of that investigation, we will then make certain determinations with regard to employment decisions. But at this time, this is simply these are simply suspensions that are consistent with an ongoing investigation. In addition, beyond that, the Board of Education, out of respect for our employees, has a policy, and it's also consistent with state law, that we do not comment on personnel matters. So while we understand that many of you may have questions relating to our personnel, regrettably, we cannot offer comments at this time. However, if anyone does wish to speak, we can certainly listen to your comments. We have a microphone set up over here. We ask that you give your name and address for the record before speaking. Again, as a reminder, we're allotting each speaker an opportunity to speak once and for no longer than 2 minutes. And we welcome anyone who wishes to speak at this time regarding agenda items only to please come up and state your name and address for the record. There'll be a separate section at the conclusion of this meeting for any item concerning the district on which you wish to speak about. Anyone for public?
Good evening. My name is Brandon Boyce, Harlan, New Jersey. Before we start the time, if you could please, I just have a question for the board. Would it be okay if I have a couple extra minutes? The reason why, I just want to explain the petition. I have 2 statements that I think you would really appreciate hearing from, 2 individuals that I think you would appreciate hearing.
I would appreciate it if you give the other statements to other individuals to read, if you could, because I'd like to keep it to 2 minutes per person.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
I'd need to be consistent.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you.
First and foremost, both to the board and to the media, former players and former community members, we started a petition. I want to say on behalf of those individuals who signed the petition and myself, we do not condone any of the alleged behavior that may have happened in that locker room. So I just want to, and to my friends in the media, please quote that. We do not condone any of that potential, behavior that was alleged, alleged behavior, excuse me. First and foremost, sorry, this is very passionate. I'm sorry. Can you stop that? I'm sorry. I just have one more slide.
Just give him a second to compose himself, yes.
The reason for the petition is very, very simple, is that we are showing our support to Cody Jordan Major because of his character that we have seen over the few years, that we have all known. I'd like to read one statement right here very quickly, and this is from Patrick Daly, class of 2000. I think it says enough. Coach Danger kicked me off his football team because I was a punk and a bully in school. I got in trouble for everything between throwing things in the lunchroom to cursing at teachers to picking on kids. He told me that I would have to prove to him that I have the commitment and the character to be on his team, and he would reconsider. You'll hear the rest later in the essence of time. All I want to say is, as of now, as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, we had 3 days to get signatures. In 3 days, we have over 800 signatures. We have over 200 personal statements. The reason why we have that is simple. People put their name onto something because they believe in what they are doing. They believe in Coach Najar. They believe in our motto of commitment and character. They believe in Cyril. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoyt. And if you have any of those other statements, you're free to give them to anyone else who wishes to come up and use their 2 minutes to share that information. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is John Bell, 19 Columbia Place, Cerebral War Memorial High School, class of 1998. I'm the varsity defensive backs coach for the football team here. I've coached alongside Coach Najar the past 8 years, and have known him for 20. I'm not going to use my time to speak about Coach Najar and about what he means to me and a lot of other people in this room. His character enough speaks for itself. I thought about how Coach Najar would use this forum, and that he would use this time as a teaching moment. For the players in this room, do not allow these incidents or allow anyone to define who you are. Continue to work hard in school and any pursuit in life. I know things seem terrible right now, but they will get better. Respect and love your parents, and parents, continue to support your children as they work through this tough time. To the Cerebral community, the players, the coaches, I want to thank you for the many memories we've had and the ones we're going to create. Most importantly, my heart goes out to the victims. Give them the support they really need. Cerebral, I love you. Thank you.
Mr. Bell, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Sean McIntosh. Just a couple things I like to read. My 4 years as a Bomber football player, Coach Nader has been nothing but a positive and fatherly figure to me and the rest of my teammates. When I first started playing football my freshman year, I was very immature and acted like a child most of the time. I vividly remember getting written off in school my freshman year. At the time, Coach Nader was filling in as an administrator down in the office. When I went down to see him, he said that this was unacceptable and I had to represent myself in the program even when I wasn't on the field or in the weight room. After you look past the 4 state championships and making the playoffs every year, you'll find a man that truly cares about the reputation of his program and the players within it. And then it's not about how many points we scored or how many state championships we won. Now that my senior year has ended, I can truly say that I'm mature enough to go into the workforce and contribute to my life after football. So thank you to all the coaches who have helped me grow both on and off the field throughout my time here at Sayreville. Not trying to cover the magnitude of what has happened here in the past couple of weeks, but knowing Coach for 4 years, I know he would never have for a second tolerated any form of hazing. I will leave you with one thing. Where was all of this media attention when Coach made the playoffs in each of his 20 years at Sayreville? Or when Coach won state championship in 1997, and for 3 straight years starting in 2010, lasting in 2012. Where were they on June 23rd, 2014 when Coach was inducted into the High School Football Hall of Fame at halftime of the North-South game? What about the 162 wins that Coach Nader has won against East Warren Sayreville? Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. Yes, sir.
My name is Don McCoy, and I'm currently residing in Mattawan, New Jersey. I am offering my 2 minutes to Brandon Hoyt to finish his sentiments from prior. Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
I'm going to ask does the board want to do? Does anyone on the board oppose to that?
No.
No, they're not.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you. Mr. Hoyt?
Sure, thank you. I can continue reading Pat Daly's. Coach Nader kicked me off this football team because I was a punk and a bully in school. I got in trouble for everything between throwing things in the lunchroom to cursing at teachers to picking on kids. He told me that I would have to prove to him that I had the commitment and the character to be on this team, and he would reconsider. I continued to be a jerk for 1 more year and then dropped out of high school. The lessons that I learned from the coaches didn't hit me until I was out of school, and my family was going through a public scandal. I had to grow up quick, start working full-time because my team, my family, needed me. Although I only played for him for 2 years, I owe much of my resilience and work ethic to the lessons I learned playing Bomber football. I moved to Sayreville 10 years ago I moved away from Sayreville 10 years ago and started my family in Philadelphia. And I have a 9-year-old son who I help coach, and we're finishing up our 4th season playing and coaching for the Fort Richmond Leprechauns. I teach many of the values that I learned from the coaches to my son and his teammates. I often think, what kind of man would I be without those lessons? I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for receiving Pat Daly 2000, class of 2000. The reason why I brought that to your attention is I think, given what's in question right now, given the situation, this was an individual who was a bully. This was an individual that would not follow the guidelines that New Jersey has now put in place. And at that time, Coach Nader reprimanded him, and he showed appreciation. That's why I thought that was very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoyt. Yes, sir.
sincerely feel for the victims and their families. I had a meeting last night with Mrs. Reese and the Board of Education lawyer, and these are some of the questions that I was asked. Were you ever given a coach's manual? Did you ever take classes on hazing and bullying? Have any school officials sat down with you or the staff to discuss bullying or hazing? My answer to all those questions is no. The board has painted a picture that the coaching staff is negligent. I believe it was the responsibility of the board and the superintendent to provide us with the resources for the above mentioned, and you failed on your end. I also believe that Superintendent Labby rushed to judgment with no facts and cannot wait to get his name out there as the face of anti-bullying. You've made careless and premature statements to the media without the best interest of all children involved, the alleged victims, the accused, and the innocent. When I went to last night's meeting, I was let in by a woman that was walking out of the door. I did not ring the bell to get let in the room. You did not know that I was there. I was standing outside Mr. Labby's office, overhearing a conversation with Mrs. Reese, the lawyer, and there was another voice in there, I don't know who it was. But you were celebrating the fact that you buried this football program. You said, we got them, they're all finished, they're done. I was disgusted to hear that. Not one person here is going to heal the wounds of this community. The man that's going to do that is sitting at home right now because he's not allowed here, and that's Coach Nagle.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Lori H., and I'm a lifelong resident of Sayreville, and also a grandchild of a former high school football player. How can team building activities help you in your life? It was written by my son, Christian. 2014 is my final year playing youth football. This year, although my most challenging, has really opened my eyes to the important role that building a strong, cohesive bond with my teammates plays in the success of a team. Having been chosen by our coaches as one of the captains, it became partially my responsibility to unite all of our members into one productive unit, a team. First and foremost, I learned that by being personally committed to my own development as a team player, it would not only benefit me as a person, but would also show my teammates that if we all show mutual respect and work together, we would undoubtedly be successful. I learned that being successful did not necessarily mean that we had to win. We just had to go out on that field and give our absolute best as a group. This year, I set a goal for myself to greatly improve my own performance by working hard on my speed and stamina. I really pushed myself during all of our conditioning, especially during our sprints, to get better. At times, some of my friends on our team were struggling with this. Our coaches, former Bomber football players, taught us that by uniting as a team, cheering them on, running alongside them, we were able to motivate them to complete their sprints. We were also showing them how much we cared about them and their individual progress. I found that by contributing to the personal development of the people around me, I felt really good about me as a person.
Please take 10 seconds to wrap up.
Okay, well, I'm going to let my daughter take the next 2 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
This is her brother's effort.
All right, thank you.
My name is Courtney H. from South Amboy. Another big factor in team building is developing a true sense of trust. Trust can come in many different forms out on the football field. Trust in your coaches, trust in the officials, trust in yourself, but most of all, trust in your teammates. Knowing that people around you, whether on or off the football field, support you and have your back gives you the ability to focus on what your own responsibilities are. I hope that I will always be surrounded by people that I can truly trust in my life. This year, as in past years, I've had the opportunity to work together with many different types of kids. Some kids weren't very skilled athletically. Some struggled with learning or remembering their plays, and yet others were just plain shy. By trying to understand and accept all of these differences between us, I learned that I needed to have patience with my team, just like they probably needed to have patience with me. flexible and tolerant of each other's differences, I learned that we could communicate and have successful outcomes. This knowledge of others will undoubtedly help me in both my personal and my professional relationships in the future. Helen Keller once said, "Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much." This is the perfect motto to build a strong football team on. It is an even better message to live my life by building on a strong foundation I have gained from my playing youth football. I plan on surrounding myself with the best team possible in my life and my future career. That way, I will be sure to experience the best that life has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My name is Devin Holmes. I'm a former football player in New York as well. I'm like a father. But being here at Brandon Hoyt, well up to all my years, playing Sarah Pop Warren, and being a bummer, I want to let him speak if that's fine. He's still out there today.
That's fine.
Last letter I have to read is from the former athletics director of Sarah Woodville High School, Jack Appleton. I'm writing to you to express my support for Coach George Najar, since I'm currently out of state and cannot attend tonight's meeting. Coach Najar has been a pillar in this community and has positively affected the lives of many students. He has repeatedly demonstrated that commitment and character meant something. Obviously, a few players from this year's team didn't believe and allegedly betrayed. I'm confident that Coach Najar was not aware of this activity. If he was, he would have addressed it immediately. As for the issue of the locker room supervision, there's plenty of blame to go around, starting with previous administration and the Board of Ed. When the expansion of the facility took place, the Board of Education dismissed the proposal by the athletic department to have coach offices in or next to the locker rooms. They saved money, but provide a facility that's set of coaches for failure. Both Dr. Labby and the board member Walsh, as former football coaches, can attest to the difficulty to properly supervise. A second expansion, which occurred after my retirement, still did not address the issue. Although this does not excuse the coaches from supervision, it makes it an unreasonable expectation for placing a coach in there for every minute. Doing that, having a coach standing in the corner and constantly watch kids get dressed and shower could create another more serious problem. I support Coach Najar and ask that the Board of Ed not destroy him or what he has brought to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Hoyt. Anyone else wish to address the board? Going once, going twice?
John Bovary, 1210 Harbor Club Drive, Harlem. I prepared notes that would have been devil's advocate, to everything that football parents and players have said. And many of my friends are sitting there as parents of ex-football players, right? I don't completely share all their view, but as I sat here, I'm more troubled by some of the stuff Coach Berardi said. Or equally as troubled, so I'll wrap that up at the end. But I have no doubt, and everybody here knows George and I didn't get along well for many years, right? I have no doubt he helped 1,000 kids in this town be better men, and he had no knowledge of this criminal activity. But I'm going to have two quick analogies that I think we got to just consider. And remember, this board hasn't ended the football program for next year, and this board hasn't fired a coach yet. We're all hypothetical in this at this point in time. George needs support, but let it play out, right? If I was teaching math and I stepped out into the hallway to speak to my supervisor for 3 to 4 minutes, and this activity that took place in the locker room took place in the back of my classroom, man, I think I'd be out of
Thank you, Mr. Bovary. Anyone else for public? All right, we will close public at this time. Oh, I'm sorry, was there a hand?
You have someone, Kevin.
Agenda only, correct. That'll be following our vote, yes. Okay. Is someone coming up?
I
Yes,
believe you
okay.
have someone coming up, Kevin.
Pat Smith on behalf of Brandon Hoyt, spoke to me on my time, and just want to say, spoke to me, John's an excellent coach, and he doesn't deserve all the trash that he's getting. He deserves to be that.
Thank you. Mr. Hoyt?
As I was sitting there, the reason why I came up here is really simple. I was mad at myself because I got emotional. I said, I've spoken in public, I've spoken to 40, 50,000 people, and why am I emotional right now? And I was upset at myself. And then it hit me. You get emotional, you get nervous when you care. So I just want to say to y'all, many of you know my background. I'm telling you, the only reason I've experienced any of the success, aside from my parents and family, because of Coach Nader and his coaching staff in this community, I know several of you, and I may not know all. I respect you. I'm not here to point fingers. All I'm asking you, as a man, please take this man's character into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoyt. Anyone else for public on agenda items only? Yes, Mr. DeRold. You'll have video of this, by the way.
First of all, so much trouble for even talking because I promised Joan I wouldn't talk to her.
Okay.
But most people don't even know my real name. They think I'm Joe Diamonds, right? And I usually don't let my videos speak for themselves. And I did put up a video. I went through the last 4 years of what the coaches has said. It's not even so much after a win, it's after a loss, how he speaks to the kids. And it's how he teaches, says to them it's about life lessons. We're going to regroup, we're going to work harder, and we're going to come out even better than ever. And I've heard him say that over and over again. So it's not about wins and losses. It's about him teaching kids the meaning of life. I just, and watching when I was putting the video together, which I guess some people saw it because I think it had like 3,000 hits in one day. He's going to have to actually go by those same words because he's going to have to, regroup, work harder, and move on. And I love the man. I have no dog in this fight. I have a daughter. I never had a son that played football. I've done soccer, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls basketball. I'm probably the most rabid booster Cerebral has ever known, I would think. I'm a little bit sometimes obsessed. But I really, really, love the man. I see how he talks to the kids and how he motivates them and leads them in. And I know if he had any knowledge of this, he would have been in.
Thank you, Mr. DeRold. And, one more.
Vincent Foltz, Cerebral. I just want to say that, just one thing, Dr. Lavin. I just want to say that I've been sitting over there for the past time that everybody's been talking, and you haven't looked at anybody in the eyes for more than 5 seconds, which is to me very honestly disrespectful. But just to continue, I just want to say that Coach Najar is one of the biggest impacts in everybody in this community's lives, and not only in football, but in school. And what Mr. Hoyt said with the person who, with the bullying, I just want to personally say that just Coach Najar is one of the greatest men I've ever met, besides my grandfather and my father. It's Coach Najar. If he's listening and watching, I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Michael Hoyt, no relation to Mr. Brandon. I have 2 questions prepared for the board. Are you prepared to hire a body that's going to investigate your handling of this alleged hazing scandal? I guess that depends on how it turns out, but would you be prepared to handle
Okay, the first question with regard to hiring an outside firm, there are no intentions, at this time at least, of the board hiring an outside firm for the investigation. Those duties are delegated to the administration. With regard to the crisis management firm, which was brought in by insurance, at this time, that's under the direction of our insurance company. The board would have to take formal action if taxpayer dollars are going to be expended for that purpose rather than going through insurance. It was part of an existing insurance policy which we had, and the services were provided based upon the premium that we've been paying. Anyone else for public? Again, if you could wrap up quickly. I really need you to wrap. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Sandra McIntosh, Sayreville, New Jersey. I'm giving my 2 minutes to my son, Sean.
Okay.
I coach with the 7th and 8th graders at the Leprechauns and there's a limited team in this town. And a lot of them, they really looked up to the program that we had here and Coach Nazar when he stood for and all the other coaches. And a lot of them, they've been asking me lately, oh, what's going on? And obviously I'm not going to be able to answer them. But for a lot of them, to hear that that the season may be canceled until the freshman hour of high school, it really devastated those kids. And I know that this is coming from me, I'm a senior, I'm graduating, my time is over. But not to cover the magnitude of the situation and the investigation, but some of the kids that are younger, 7th and 8th grade, even down to the little ones in 5th and 4th and 5th grade, they're very devastated by the fact that they may never be able to play for Coach Nazar or be able to play in a Bomber uniform. They've played Pop Warner football their entire lives, whether it be for the Panthers or the Leprechauns. And they're just very devastated. I have to explain to my team every day that, no, don't worry, it's going to be okay. And it's just hard to go through to explain to those kids how should I motivate them to play for the high school when they may not even have a program. A lot of them have played their entire lives getting ready to play for Coach Nazar. excited to play for him, excited to play in the Bomber uniform on Friday nights and run their own community. Some of them, they have private school looks from Don Bosco, Sterling Catholic, all these powerhouse teams, and they said, no, I want to be a Bomber. I don't want to go to your schools and get college looks. They want to be a Bomber. So I know this isn't, you have to really think about the younger kids in the town too. Again, I'm not covering up the magnitude of the situation, but some of the younger kids in the town, this is their ultimate dream, is to play on that field over there on Friday nights, and to run out in front of the entire community, and to play for Coach Major. It's just hard to explain to those kids that that may never happen for them. It's just hard to go to practice every day, and the kids are asking me questions about, oh, what's happening at the high school, and I can't answer. So I think that
Again, if you could wrap up quickly.
I think that you really need to think of what you're going to do and how many kids that you may be hurting that aren't even in high school yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. And I'll respond to both of those. First of all, as I indicated to begin with at the beginning of this meeting, no determination tonight is being made with regard to the future employment of any of the individuals that are listed here. This is simply consistent with a process by which we're going through the investigation. You've heard one person's opinion with regard to the situation that existed with regard to training. We are still going through multiple individuals with whom we are asking questions of, looking at the training. That will all be part of a report given to the Board of Education by the superintendent with regard to a full debrief of what has occurred. So I can't answer your question yet at this time because we're still going through the investigatory process. Anyone else for public? Yes, sir. And again, we're still undergoing an investigation process at this time. As soon as we have the conclusion of that investigation, we'll be able to share that information. Again, I've answered the question, sir. Sir, I've answered the question to the extent that I can. Sir?
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. This is public comment. Excuse me. Excuse me. This is public comment. Okay, I'm the board attorney. I'm going to inform you. This is public comment. We're happy to hear it. In fact, we're eager to hear what you have to say. This is not public questions. Mr. Sayak is interested in answering as many questions as you possibly can. You have 2 minutes to speak. In fact, if we could back up a little bit so the gentleman has an opportunity to speak his full time, you can make a statement. Obviously, if there's an opportunity to answer you, we will. Please don't become adversarial here. Thank you.
Sir, I've already given you my answer. You may not appreciate it, but I've given you my answer.
Number two, my son said he overheard a celebration going on. Does anybody have a comment about that?
That was the first that I had heard about that, and the board will look into that.
The people that were in the room, can they comment on that?
No, not at this time in a public forum.
Why is that?
Because it's part of an, thank you. It's part of an ongoing investigation.
But it's a public forum. Don't they have the right to know?
No, not during an ongoing investigation at this time.
We're not investigating. We want to know, was there a celebration? Yes or no?
Sir, I appreciate your question. However, this is a matter of personnel, and it is not for public disclosure at this time. Thank you. Anyone else for public?
I'm Courtney H. with football players that the lives have been touched. He's really touched our lives too. And the cheerleading team would like to extend their support.
Thank you. Anyone else for public? Okay, hearing none, we'll close public at this time. I will take a motion to approve the superintendent's report.
So moved.
By Mr. Walsh, do I have a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Bloom. Are there any comments on the superintendent's report? Okay, hearing none, roll call, Mr. DeAndrea.
Mr. Bowker,
Yes.
Mrs. Backo,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes, and I need to abstain on the second one on page 22.
on page
22, professional development.
Thank you. Mr. Brzezinski,
Yes.
Mrs. DePinto,
Yes.
Mr. McEnon,
Yes.
Mrs. Trapp,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
and Mr. Sire.
Yes. Okay, so that concludes the superintendent's report. Under discussion, two items. First of all, I received a inquiry from a member of the Board of Trustees of St. Stan's Church. St. Stanislaus Kostka is celebrating their 100-year anniversary. They would like a letter from me as board president on behalf of the board congratulating them. Normally, I would just write the letter, but given the fact that it is a church versus a public school, I just wanted to make sure the board didn't have any issue with that. It is a community organization. Our attorney has indicated that there is no legal prevention in doing so. Any board members with issues? Okay, I'll write a letter and I will send a copy to the board. The second item for discussion is regard to the pilot program. I had indicated to the board that the council has appointed a committee that wishes to meet with a committee of the board to discuss the pilot arrangements and the manner in which pilot funds are distributed pursuant to our request that we had sent the mayor and council. My intent was to appoint the finance and infrastructure to do so. However, Mrs. Batko contacted me and indicated that she would like to serve on that committee. So while committee appointments are at my discretion, what committee is utilized is at the board's discretion. So my question is, do we want to use the Finance and Infrastructure Committee, or would you like me to appoint a separate committee? If you want me to appoint a separate committee, I will appoint Mrs. Batko, and if there are any other individuals interested, I will appoint them as well. So it's up to the board. I just need direction.
So the committee members are Phyllis, Dan, and Beth, is that correct?
Well, Finance Committee right now is Mrs. Bloom, Mr. Balka, and Mrs. DePinto.
And are you guys good with staying on that?
Okay.
Then I'm good with it.
So you're good with Finance and Infrastructure doing it?
Yes.
Well, I'm good with adding Phyllis to it, too, though.
Oh, okay.
That's not-
Sorry.
So would the board be okay with then the three members of that committee and Mrs. Batko in my place? Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, so then I will defer and not attend that meeting, and Mrs. Batko, you can attend in my place, and Mr. Balka would be the chair of that committee as finance chair. Okay, thank you. Any other items for new business or discussion? Okay.
I did want to mention that tomorrow night we have homecoming. Has that been
Yes,
mentioned?
that has not been mentioned. You can go ahead and mention that.
Tomorrow night at 6:30?
Tomorrow night, I believe it's at 5:30. 5:30.
We're having the homecoming, King and Queen.
As
and
well as the float competition?
Thank you, the float competition, and also there's a field hockey game prior, and I believe a boys soccer game following. So
I believe
all
that is
welcome to
correct.
come out.
So we hope that everyone comes out and joins us for Homecoming 2014. Do we have a? Yeah, I don't think we have a rain date yet. If it rains, I'm sure there'll be a parent link message that will be sent out if there is a cancellation. Any other items for business? Okay, then hearing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
No, we got public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I will open it back up to public. Again, if you wish to speak on any item concerning the district, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
My name's Stanley Brawl, Centerville, New Jersey. I came here tonight because I watched the last board meeting on television. Is this appropriate to discuss the hazing or whatever it's saying?
Absolutely. This is any item concerning the district.
I decided to come tonight because I'm a graduate of Centerville High School. I'm also a former football player for 3 years. And
came out tonight to say I want to thank the board and the superintendent for taking the leadership role when you're stuck with a bad situation. I was kind of shocked at some of the comments that were made at the last board meeting, the lack of decorum, but I'm going to just say tonight, I came to this dedication when I was in 5th grade, when this school was dedicated. Cerebral War Memorial High School. It's dedicated to dozens of cerebral young men, many teenagers who died serving this country. And that had a lot of meaning for those of us who came here. Now, if you go to Cerebral, my brother lives in Omaha, Nebraska. He's a former Bomber football player. He's ridiculed now by people he works with about Cerebral. I have friends I served. I did 24 years in the Army working with young men. I get emails from people who know I lived in Cerebral making jokes about this school now. Perhaps people don't care about those things, but I do. I underwent hazing in the military. I served in mostly combat units. But hazing was learning every capability of every weapon in my unit. I was pulled out of bed in the middle of the night, put in a dark room, and given 3 minutes to put together a machine gun. Every one of those skills helped save my life. As Mr. McEnroe, I believe, said on TV on the last meeting, he hit it right in the head. I never once had to be ridiculed and humiliated to be proud of my uniform. That's both as a Bomber player and also as a United States Army officer. And I'll tell you this, and again, I don't want to lay blame because I don't know what, I only know what I read in the papers, but I will say this to the players that are here tonight.
And again, if you could wrap up.
If you're building teamwork, when we had a weak member of a platoon in the field and he fell out, instead of kicking him, beating him, and ridiculing him, we picked up his load, his weapon, his pack, his helmet, and anything else, and we carried it for him. Because we knew that maybe we thought we were tough on that particular day, but anything could have happened to make us the weak member of the unit. If you want to talk teamwork, it's that. It's you carry your weakest member. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giral, and thank you for your service. Anyone else for public wish to speak?
Good evening, Ken Kelly, 20 Ash Terrace. I'm here tonight to listen to testimony on behalf of Coach Najar. Apparently he's been a builder of men, has run a successful program. However, something has recently happened that we all have to deal with. And I commend the board and the superintendent for dealing with this in a professional manner. And I think there's a lot of rumors and stuff going around town. Let's wait and see where everything comes out. The board will complete their investigation and make it known to the public. So I just wanted to let you know that I hope everything works out, and I support you in your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly, and thank you for your service. Anyone else wish to address the board? Okay, we will close public at this time. And again, ladies and gentlemen, just to conclude, Dr. Labby will be completing the investigation. He perhaps has maybe the easier job in this, in that he's limited to the facts and the issues of what exactly transpired. The board has the job of balancing exactly what happened during these events with obviously the passions and desires of the community. So that's how Dr. Labby and the Board of Education work together. Again, we thank you for attending, and we thank all of you for your comments. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. By Mrs. DePinto. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Bloom. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.